Through all of our Price of Freedom stories, veterans who served our country and the lessons they learned that they carried with them for the rest of their lives.
Tonight in the Price of Freedom, Josh Rowe has the story of William B. Raines, also known as Bill Raines. He fought in 2 wars and built a very successful business in the years between and the years since.
Bill Raines grew up in Red Bank. His military career started at West Point.
I'm sure it's daunting to be around all the history of that place.
Well, you just can't believe it.
Yeah.
He graduated in 1968. A couple of years later, he was in Vietnam.
I was initially in Da Nang.
He got there in June 1970.
Battalion commander called me in, and he stood up on his tiptoes to a map and said, "Captain Raines, I'm sending you up here to Dong Ha. You'll be a battery commander in the morning." Well, that's one of the big deals in military. You want to be a commander in combat.
He was a battery commander for 9.5 months. Bill Raines was 25 years old. He says it was the most important job he's ever had.
You got to take care of your troops. You got to know your skill, and you got to encourage, particularly the good things. There's too much opportunity to discourage for the wrong things, but to recognize achievement. And that was probably the biggest learning opportunity of my whole life. 125 men in a combat situation, and it's everything from bullets to beans to haircuts, all of the above.
Soon after the war, he had to make a decision about what to do next.
Came back to Chattanooga that Christmas and met a gentleman named J. Solomon, and that's who our federal building, post office downtown, is named after him. Joel Solomon. Jay had a company called Arlen, A-R-L-E-N, shopping centers, that evolved later into CBL and Associates, who develops malls here locally.
He got out of the Army, and in 1973, he started a very successful business career. He went to work with CBL and Associates. A year later, he joined the Army Reserves, and 10 years later, he started his own company, the Raines Group.
The company now, believe it or not, is 33 years old as of a few days ago. And it's been an interesting ride.
His business career was going well, and so was his military career. In 1990, he took command of the Army Reserve Unit in Chattanooga.
And I stood up there at the podium, just like you've seen many times. We've got to be ready. We never know when we're going to get the call.
He got the call that day to report to Fort Campbell. It didn't take long until his unit was called up to active duty for Desert Storm.
We're prisoners of our past, and I remembered Vietnam. I remember rotten eggs being thrown at me. I remember when I got back in country from Vietnam. You were not supposed to really wear your uniform. You're encouraged not to.
One day, picking up his uniform from the dry cleaners, he learned the country had changed a lot since the early 1970s.
On the little slip, the invoice that they stapled to your fatigues, it said, "Thank you, no charge."
And Bill Raines retired at the rank of Major General after 36 years of service. Today, he's very busy operating the Raines Group, and he's also chairman of the Trustee Committee for the Charles Coolidge Medal of Honor Museum.